There are many things that matter in life, but the core is our relationship with our own self, how we show up during all the trials and turbulations with comfort or harshness, with love or blame, with compassion or animosity. All these feelings and reactions are at the core of how we relate with our own self. How do we relate to ourselves? What is the evidence? Like, how do we know this is how I relate to myself? It's by the means of self talk, which also has come to be known as mental chatter. Well, it need not be chatter, but right now it is like a chatter, and we are also calling it the monkey mind. So, this decides what's happening inside of us, what's happening in our life, and how we are assimilating it in our mind, into our being, into our self. So, majorly, a relationship towards ourself is at the core of how we move ahead in life, or how we stay in our life, how we process the information which we gather from the outside world. For example, in the face of a serious event, say we encounter something really painful, maybe it's directly towards us, or maybe we are just an onlooker. What is our language for ourselves when we are assimilating this kind of an information? What is the attitude if it's a personal situation, if it's a personal harm done by anybody else through their actions or through their words? What's the attitude we have towards ourselves, and how it affects our life? All this is majorly responsible towards the quality of our life. So let's toy with a word called Maitri. Maitri largely means friendship. And what are we talking about today? I want to talk about Maitri, and I would say it is a being's unconditional friendship with oneself. This is the basis of compassion. Unconditional friendship is very hard to come by. You can also look at it as unconditional acceptance. The unconditional acceptance of oneself. It's much more common that we disapprove of ourselves and the way we denigrate ourselves. Like, you may have seen certain cartoons or jokes on social media. There is this person kneeling on the bed and looking upwards with his hands grasped in prayer, and he's saying, he's actually talking to God, but this is what he's saying: I asked you as nicely as I could to make me a better person, but apparently you couldn't be bothered. So, the idea that we want to be a better person begins from knowing that I am not a better person. And there are many things which contribute to oneself not being a better person, or even to look at oneself as not being the better person. But we'll talk today about, can we begin to make friends with our own self? And understanding and thinking that friendship is not coming from the outside. And we all look to the outside, to other people, to a spiritual practice, towards meditation, even jogging, running, exercise. We all look all over the place to try to make ourselves feel good about ourselves. And affirmations are all about proclaiming, I am smart, I am worthy. It's as though we are screaming it to ourselves, or we are gently trying to program ourselves to believe that from the outside that I am worthy, that I'm a good person, I'm smart, I deserve love. So where does this friendship come from? From within. It's easy to understand when it comes from the outside. But how do we figure out how it comes from the inside? So how I would like you to look at it is kind of being able to relax with yourself. That is real Maitri. Maitri is feeling at home with your own mind, with your own body. And it's very important. Where does relaxation for the self come from? It's a great question to ask. Nowadays we are all in our head all the time, thinking, understanding, trying to see what is our next step. Because friendship is not just, it's the basis of compassion. It's like a seed of happiness, a seed of well-being, or that feeling that I'm glad to be alive. So where does it come from? Where will all these feelings come from? That one is happy to be alive, the feeling of wellness, of relaxation. It comes from it has a lot to do with our relationship with pain, our relationship with difficulties, how to handle difficulty, what difficulty we have gone through, and how we have taken it inside, and what we have understood it as. So, Buddha had a very revolutionary teaching, and one of the fundamental things that he said was In a human life, there is pain. A certain amount of pain is inevitable, such as growing old. Dying is the most inevitable. Even illnesses, and such as more that you love. And really, loving is something that brings tremendous sense of well-being to all of us. And somebody loving somebody else and feeling loved by others. But have you noticed the more stronger that bond is of being loved and loving? And then there is more sadness and grief at the loss of that relationship too, at the loss of that person. It's as though you put your hand in fire, it burns. So that's a lot of discomfort in life. And the fundamental teaching of Buddha was not to struggle against the pain in our life. And that is not the kind of news we all would like to hear. It's just an inherent quality, or maybe it's just become such a reflex that we are struggling to stay in pain. We want to move out of pain immediately, and we want to feel good all the time. So it's not to say that you bring about pain to yourself, or if something is harmful that you stay in that place of pain. It's more about when the pain comes from outside through things which are not in our control, and how we are relating to the world, trying to control. So if I'm trying to control somebody else or some event, working hard towards something is a different thing, but trying to control is a manipulative behavior. So let's come back to Maitri. Maitri is unconditional friendship, that unconditional sweetness, the feeling of being comfortable with the own self, being at peace, feeling well within one's own body, within one's own mind. Now, a great question, a great inquiry at this moment is, who makes us feel uncomfortable? Who makes us feel unwell and takes away our peace? It can be the outside situations, people and events, as I mentioned earlier, harsh words by someone who's close to you, unthoughtful comments by friends, family members, mean behavior of maybe strangers too, and even some serious life events such as loss of people, loss of money, betrayal. So if we look deeply into it, the events come and go, but the residual feelings or the sourness, that stays with us. The hard times are difficult as such. It's difficult to walk through difficult times for everyone. We try our best to get ourselves to get out of pain, grief, and frustration caused by situations, tough situations, challenges. Yet they leave an impression in our mind and in our lives, which may result in closing down towards oneself. And when we close down, there is no inflow, there is no outflow either. And that can be a very claustrophobic situation. And when there is claustrophobia, how can anything anything prospered in that. We may close down towards ourselves and think we didn't know any better and become harsh or strict towards ourselves in the face of a challenge, in the face of deceit, of betrayal or grief. This begins to harm our relationship with our own inner being. Our essence cannot flow towards ourselves also if we, to keep ourselves safe from the outside world, we begin to close down. But it's such a big disservice because now we are not flowing outwards and we have stopped flowing inwards too. And when we continue to encounter tough situations in life, which is such a natural nature of life, we feel an unknown sense of discomfort, and we think the feelings are coming from outside and are caused by outside situations, by people and the echoes of the past. We may begin to wish for those who caused us such harm to disappear, and we may want those people to meet with bad consequences. We may wish ill for them who caused us to be in a situation where our happiness and our comfort has been taken away and our mind is so unrestful. Our lives have become difficult to live by every day. But an awareness to understand that our wishing doesn't do anything, it doesn't do anything to them. A harshness towards them and replaying those life events, replaying those words, replaying those situations, it doesn't do anything to the other person. Instead, it takes us away from our own peace, our own comfort, and our own well-being. We begin to numb ourselves. We begin to become like a stone wall towards ourselves too, because we close down towards feelings. We don't want to feel anything more from the outside because we make up our mind that I'm going to be met with a similar consequence once again if I put myself in such a situation. It's good to be cautious in venturing out into new places, in friendships, on the outside, into business ventures, into general life events, but with your own self. You have to be open. You need to have that compassion, and all the self-talk which is becoming so heavy begins to create a discord with the self. So there is no love to give outside, and there's no love that will flow towards our own being. So in Maitri meditation, we essentially begin by showing or generating compassion for our own self. We forgive ourselves for feeling negatively towards our own self, and we want to build a bridge so that we can reach ourselves, we can be kind to our own self, and we wish for our own peace, our own well-being. By removing all the outside chatter, all the outside discord, all the things which are creating disharmony, which are creating an unbalanced situation in our mind. And that unrestful mind cannot show love to the self. If it's not showing love and acceptance to others, it cannot show love and acceptance towards its own self either. So The goal is to set ourselves free and set others free from our judgment too. Allowing the feelings of hurt, anger, regret, and revenge to become lighter and fade away, so that our restful place can appear and our well-being is restored. Well-being of our mind, well-being of our body, and that well-being will then flow into our life. So here is what Maitri means. You are the first recipient of your own Maitri. Think deeply. Allow yourself to relax. Thinking deeply can be done in a relaxed manner too. When you relax, allow everything to float out, come to the surface. Look at it one by one and leave it all behind for your own well-being, for your own wellness, for your own lightness. And then that love will appear towards the self who's already gone through so much. So it's time to leave the baggage, to put it aside, move freely, walk freely. Who knows, you may be even able to fly freely. So give it a go towards Maitri for yourself. Wishing you great comfort and well-being. Thank you for listening to me. Blessings.